Hey guys, it's your girl Tara coming to you from thecraftsergeant.com. Thanks for joining me for another video tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to share with you guys how to create these two beautiful cards. Oh my goodness, I am in love with these cards because they are featuring one of my favorite stamp sets out of the 2020 Sale-a-bration brochure, and it's called Happy Birthday to You, and this is the stamp set. So if you guys stick around, I'm going to share with you guys step-by-step instructions on how to create these gorgeous cards and share with you how you can get this stamp set for free in my online store. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start out by creating our really simple card first. I love it because it's just using stamps, ink, and paper, and yeah, it's so pretty. So what I use on this card is, first, for the card base, I am using a piece of crumb cake cardstock. I'm using a piece of Blackberry Bliss and a piece of Very Vanilla. Since we're going to be coloring with our alcohol based markers, I'm going to be using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. It's fade resistant, great ink for coloring with alcohol markers because it doesn't bleed. And speaking of alcohol markers, I have the following. I have like a whole range of them right here. So I have the Old Olive combo. I have the, let's see if I can get them in order, the Crumb Cake combo. I have my Smoky Slate combo. I have my Blackberry Bliss combo. I have my light Rich Razzleberry. I have a Daffodil Delight in light. I have Ivory, my color lifter, and of course my handy dandy Winkle Stella, because sparkle is just amazing on cards. As far as my tools, I am going to be using my Stamparatus for this because it's great for positioning the images onto my piece of Very Vanilla. Okay, so now that you guys know exactly what we're going to be using to create this card, let's go ahead and begin stamping it. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to position my Stamparatus just like this. I'm going to take the stamp off. And I'm going to put my piece of Very Vanilla onto the gridded base. And I'm going to just lay my magnet on here just like that. Okay, make sure it's lined up pretty straight. And I'm going to take my stamp. This is the great thing about the Stamparatus. I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to place it where I want to on my piece of cardstock. Now I want to make sure that it's down and over a little ways, so that way I have room enough here at the top for my sentiment. Okay, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the door or the plate and I am going to pick that stamp up just like that. Isn't that awesome? Very easy. Now I'm going to take my Memento ink and I'm going to ink up my image just like this, and I'm going to stamp it onto my piece of cardstock. Now the good thing about the Stamparatus is it is a great positioning tool, because if I find that there are some areas of my image that didn't get stamped very well, they're kind of light, I can always go back over it with my ink and re-stamp it down to make it darker. Isn't that awesome? And it'll stamp in the same position every single time. All right, so I am going to clean off my stamp with my chamois, and now I'm going to do my sentiment. So I'm going to take my magnet and I'm going to reposition it on my piece of cardstock out of the way. I'm going to line up my sentiment how I want it and where I want it. That looks about straight. And so then I'm going to pick up this stamp and then I am going to ink it up just like so. And I'm going to stamp it down just like that. Awesome. And we're done with that portion. All right. So let's move this little guy out of the way. All right, so now it's time for us to do our coloring. So here are a few tips and tricks that I use when I color with my Stampin' blends. In order to get the effect that you see here, there's quite a bit of shading going on. So what I like to do is I like to lay down the darker color first, and then I chase it with the lighter color. So to do this, I'm gonna start off with my flowers. Okay, so I'm going to take my dark Blackberry Bliss, and if you notice with our Stampin' blends, there's two tips. There's a brush tip and then there's a fine tip. I always love using the fine tip because I find that I have more control over it, but the brush tip is great when you have bigger areas to color and to work with. So I'm going to be using both of those interchangeably. So on the flowers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I am going to color where I want the dark to stand out or the shadows to stand out. So I'm going to fast forward this part for you guys. All right, so now I'm going to go in with my lights Blackberry Bliss. Now the one thing you want to do is kind of let the ink that you just lay down sit down for like a couple of seconds, so that way when you go to add your lighter color, it doesn't automatically bleed out and look like it doesn't blend at all, if that makes sense. So I'm going to take my light and I'm going to go in and I'm going to chase around the edges of this flower. All right, so there's that, and now I'm going to go in with my light Rich Razzleberry, and I'm going to take the brush tip on this one, and I'm just going to color over this whole flower, just doing one layer of ink. Go. And then I am going to take my color lifter. All right, so now I'm going to go in with the leaves. So I'm going to start with the dark, the bases of the leaves. And then I'm going to go in with my lights. Then I'm going to go in with my ivory, and I'm going to color in these little dots. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delights, oops, a fine tip, and color in the centers of the flower. Then I'm going to take the Smoky Slate, so I'm going to take my light first, and we're going to color this cake stand. Then for the cake portion, I'm going to go in with the dark Crumb Cake. Now I'm going to take my lights and then if you want, you can go back in with your color lifter. Take the brush tip and then kind of color in that lighter part that you see there, just like that. All right, and now I'm going to take my Wink of Stella and I'm going to color in those flowers because sparkle makes everything better. All right, last but not least, it's time for us to assemble our cards. So let's move all of this stuff out of the way. I'm gonna take my card base, fold it, burnish it with my bone folder. Okay. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of my glue, Tombow liquid adhesive. Oh, this one's not working. glue this on top of this piece of Blackberry Bliss, just like that. Flip this little guy over, and we are going to add some dimensionals to the back side. I'm going to center this. I'm going to place it on our card base just like that. And there you go. That is our first card. All right, so now we are going to do the second card. However, it's slightly different. So this is the more stepped up version of that card, okay? So basically, if you look closely, I stamped the image just like I did this one. And I stamped the cake again on a separate sheet of very vanilla. I cut out the flowers, popped them up with dimensionals, and then of course I have the embossed background. So here is the cardstock that I used for this one. I used the same crumb cake card base. I have my piece of crumb cake that I actually embossed with my Country Floral embossing folder. As you can see here, it's really gorgeous. So much detail in there. Okay. And then once again, I'm going to, oop, that's the wrong size. Sorry, had to grab the right size card base. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble this. So we're gonna put this layer down onto our card base, just like this. Make sure it's straight. That's why I love Tombow adhesive. Okay. All right, so now we're going to put this to the side, and we're going to stamp once again our cake, just like we did earlier. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, same process with the cake coloring, except this time when we color these flowers, we're going to cut them out with our paper snips. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting out our flowers. Now, there are dies that are available to do this for me. However, I am still waiting for them to arrive. But there are Sale-a-bration coordination items available. So there are quite a few stamp sets that require dies, like this one and the ladybug, and you can actually purchase those separately. but I'll have the dies actually linked down below in the description box. So that way, if you don't like to fuzzy cut, you don't have to. All right, so now it's time for us to assemble our card. Just like that. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our flowers that we have cut out, and we're going to pop those little guys up as well. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back sides. And we're just going to attach this down on top of our flower just like that. On top of the other flower just like this. All right, so now we're going to take our Wink of Stella. And now we're going to embellish with some rhinestones or some pearls. So we're going to take pearls. And we're going to put about 3 of them on here because 3 is a number that is more flattering to the eye. All right, and there you go. 2 beautiful cards. Okay guys, here are our finished cards. We have the simple and we have the stepped up version. So gorgeous. Now before I forget, I do want to give credit where credit is due. This idea was not my original idea. I did pull inspiration from a card that I received in a swap, and the person who created this card was Amy Rogers. I don't know if she watches my videos or not. Hopefully she does, but if she is watching, I wanted to give her credit just for today's inspiration because her card was gorgeous and I wanted to recreate it and put my own stank onto it because you guys know I love purple, you know, that good stuff. But anyways, so thank you, Amy, for the inspiration. So today's project featured the Happy Birthday to You stamp set. So like I mentioned earlier, you can get this stamp set for free, and this is how, because we have what's called Sale-a-bration going on with Stampin' Up. If you haven't already heard, Sale-a-bration is like the best time to shop, host a party, and to join Stampin' Up because there's so many freebies going on with this promotion period. So this is the brochure. I'll have the digital copies linked down below, but if you would like a physical copy of any of our publications, let me know in the comments or send me an email at thecraftsurgeon@hotmail.com and I can get one out, get you a catalog out as soon as possible. But as you can see, this brochure is full of goodies, oh my gosh, that you can get for free when you place a qualifying order. So for this particular stamp set, all you have to do is spend $50. And what's fun about this promotion is that there's no limit. So for every $50 you spend, you get a free Sale-a-bration item. So like I said, there's dies in here, there's punches, there's stamps, there's embellishments, all kinds of goodies in this brochure. So if you have any questions about Sale-a-bration, just let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Also, if you would like a free handwritten tutorial with measurements and a supply list for the projects that we created today, you can download it on my website. I'll have that link down below in the description box as well. So be sure to head over there to download your copy. And if you like my videos and want to continue to see more like it, along with more project inspiration and tutorials, then make sure that you guys hit that notification bell and subscribe to my channel. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys for now. So see you next time. Thanks for watching and happy stamping.